what would their tagline be for the Angel Grove Tourism Board?
Oh, goodness. The tagline that Jane would come up with would be Angel Grove, beautiful sights, beautiful people.
If you could explain Jane in 3 sentences to people, how would you explain Jane Russell? Like if you're doing like a college get to know you session or something.
Jane is a military brat who has lived in multiple places. She is an artist and she loves the beach.
Okay. Well, except for the one episode where you get attacked on the beach, but I mean, maybe even that was fun for you. Who
That was
knows
fun.
for sure? I'm John McDonald, aka Panabon, aka Zordon, aka World Building Facilitator, aka Trivia Night Quizmaster. Lots of AKAs. But here today, I am my John McDonald / Zordon self. Pronouns are he, they, and I'm going to be doing interviews with all of the cast of the Power Rangers RPG, Becoming Mighty and Morphin, that you can listen into through the Alternia archives coming in the new year. Today I have Isabeth, who plays Jane Russell, our Red Ranger. Hello, Isabeth.
Hello.
Is there anything you want to say to introduce yourself before we start talking about Jane?
I am a part of the REM community. I do video editing for REM, and I'm also Drusilla on Light Clockwork every Sunday night, 7 Central.
And you were playing in Prowlers and Paragons. Well, is that coming out through REM or some other venue? Do you know?
I believe it's coming out through REM, but I'm not sure when.
And you do something for another community, don't you? Am I?
I do. I am for ESP D&D Twitch. There's an every other Monday a campaign that we're doing called Rise of the Zentarum Stormwatch, and I am a part of that campaign.
So let's start kind of at the beginning. So I put out a casting call for the Power Rangers tabletop game, and you saw it and you thought more phenomenal. So what kind of brought you to the tabletop game? Why be a part of this out of all the things you could be a part of?
It's really nostalgia for me. When Power Rangers came out, I was a little older, but my brothers were younger and they were really into it. And it was something that the 3 of us could kind of watch together and do together. And then when the movies came out, I took them to the movies. So it was just something that we could kind of do together. So when I saw the casting call for it, it just kind of brought me back to that time when my brothers and I were younger and we got along really well. And it was just something that we could do together. And it just kind of made me kind of yearn for that time again. And I thought this would be a good way to kind of get a piece of that back.
So what was the process of creating Jane like for you? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Did you have a lot of experience with character creation for RPGs?
I do have a bit of experience creating characters. I love the process of creating a character. I love coming up with who this person is, who this person was, what happened to them to get them to this point when they start this campaign. And when I was creating Jane, I kind of tapped into that nostalgia I was feeling. So when I was creating her, I kind of pulled from my own personal background. I was a military brat. Um, it wasn't both of my parents, it was just my dad, but he was away a lot when I was growing up. So I kind of pulled that into her backstory, for both of her parents being in the military. The concept of kind of who she is as a person, she's very kind, she's very helpful, she's smart. I kind of pulled that from my grandmother who had passed away a couple of years ago, and for some reason when I was getting all this nostalgia, I just kept seeing her as this kind of person who would go out to help people and who would fight to keep everybody safe. So I kind of pulled some of her personality in to create Jane, and that's actually who I named my character after.
Oh, that's wonderful. So that kind of leads to the next question of what to you makes Jane unique from the other Rangers? Obviously, you were chosen by the red spectrum of the Morphin grid, and maybe that's what makes Jane unique. But beyond that, what makes Jane unique? We found out in a recent episode about something that she really wants to do that I'm not going to spoil. You got to watch it to figure out what I'm talking about. Uh, but what makes Jane kind of unique from the other Rangers to you?
To me, Jane is unique. She has had a lot of different cultural experiences from moving around a lot. She's been to different countries. She's really kind of seen how other people live, and she can bring that knowledge to the rest of the Rangers.
Uh, well, she's lived in a lot of places. What is a scale of 1 to 10? If Rita wasn't involved, how much would she like Angel Grove? Scale of 1 to 10, based on all the places she's been to.
And absolutely. She really loves being near the beach. She loves bonfires in the summertime with her friends. It's been really nice connecting with her grandparents again because when she's traveling a lot, she didn't always get a chance to visit. So it's been really nice to kind of be in a smaller community, I guess. I know Angel Grove is more of a city, but for like her little high school community, it's kind of nice to see the same people all of the time and kind of really be able to get to know them and forge actual friendships with people instead of, meeting them, being friendly with them, and then having to move a year later.
So you have a lot of intention in building Jane, and you've been playing Jane for a little while now. If you could go back and tell yourself one thing in creating Jane, is there anything you know now that you wish you'd known then?
I think the only thing that I really would have done differently, knowing what I know now about how she's built and what she's going towards, I would tell myself to maybe put my points in different places in the beginning to make it a little bit easier now with like my weapons and stuff like that. I feel like I started going one way and then I like veered off and went a different way, and I just kind of wish I could have told myself maybe don't do that, maybe do this instead, and it'll be a little bit easier for you later on and down the road.
But overall, like 0 to 10, you're pretty happy with
Oh
how
yeah,
Jane is going, yeah.
absolutely.
Um, has anything surprised you playing as Jane?
I think the one thing I growing up, I don't have as much Power Ranger knowledge as the rest of the cast does. So being able to just kind of jump in with everybody and just kind of run with it has really surprised me. I thought that I was going to feel a little uncomfortable or awkward because I didn't know as much about Power Rangers as everybody else. But it has been really easy with the story that's being told. It's been really easy to just kind of jump in and role play my way through it.
So in jumping in, I'm gonna put you on the spot here a little bit. Do you have a favorite like memory or a favorite challenge that either you or all the Rangers faced together?
I really like, and I don't know how much of spoilers I can do. Um, I really enjoyed when we kind of had to separate and work together at the same time to get up on the roofs of different buildings. That was a lot of fun. I thought that we all, even though we were kind of separated, we all kind of worked together towards a common goal, and we all did that really well together. And it was just a fun episode to go through.
Yes, that's the fun episode that is also conversely one of the other Rangers' least favorite episode because that's the scariest villain for them in the series. What's great is that that's a very kind of classic Ranger scenario. It's about as classic to the TV show as we're going to get. And it's not spoilers to say because I don't think anyone is surprised based on my Power Rangers altar that Pudgy Pig is a part of this universe canon. I couldn't do a season without Pudgy Pig and at least one reference to I Die.
It was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun. Not so much for brick, I don't think, because you have to having trouble getting up. But yeah, I think when people listen to the episode, they'll get a sense of fun. And I keep saying it, but I feel like people don't understand how important fun is to an RPG. Since you've been playing in different games, uh, do you have a sense that fun is important to an RPG for you, or is it
Absolutely.
like, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not having fun, then it becomes more of a job. And it's not really something that you really want to keep doing. The whole point of doing this is to come together with friends, and have a good time and tell a fun story. And if you can't have fun while you're doing that, then it becomes something that you don't like, and it can kind of take away from you wanting to ever do it again. So yeah, I absolutely think that the most important part of this is just to have a really good time.
so what's one thing about Jane that you haven't kind of revealed to the audience yet? They're hoping you'll get a chance for them to get to know about Jane.
I'm not sure. Um, I I kind of briefly touched on um, the fact that her dad died. I briefly touched on that during one of the episodes, um, but her dad dying and her mom being shipped out fairly soon after that, and her having to come to this new place, really kind of helped shape who she is. And I'm really looking forward to bringing that to the forefront and really kind of showing how much she's changed since she's even moved here.
What's one place in Angel Grove you haven't gotten to see yet as Jane that Jane would love to explore?
Probably a lot of like the parks or like the wooded areas. She hasn't really had a lot of time to go like hiking and stuff like that, so that's something that she would like to do.
Okay. How about you? Are you also interested in hiking Angel Grove, or is there like something in Angel Grove that you always kind of wondered in the show about that you'd love to visit and see?
Honestly, IRL, I would love to visit Ernie's Juice Bar. It just sounds like the most fun place.
Oh, it's fun right now. I'm really good at making the ominous references because I know what's going to happen in the background. Ernie's Juice Bar is one of the most iconic locations in the Power Rangers universe. There was a reason it was in all of that early 5 season arc, even after Ernie was no longer on the show. And people still dress up as Ernie. You can't get away from the ebullient, benevolent caretaker of Ernie's Juice Bar. Um, yeah. Also, I just like smoothies, so it's good.
Me
Uh,
too.
you may not be a fan of oranges after juicing all the oranges, but you probably would have gotten used to it. Okay, so we are using what's called the Essence 20 system instead of, what people think of when they think of role-playing games. They think of the big three. They think of Dungeons and Dragons, or they think of the futuristic dystopian Shadowrun, or even sometimes they think about kind of the rise of Savage Worlds as kind of the newer system. Um, Based upon your experience, how does Essence 20 feel to you as a player versus other systems?
I really like it. I think as far as like simplicity goes, I like the way Shadowrun really only uses like d6s. Um, but Shadowrun gets a little complicated because then you have to like, okay, well, I need to roll this plus this, and it gets a little complicated. With Essence 20, it's just kind of nice because it's very straightforward. This is what you need to roll. This is what you need to add based on, how you've built your character. But it's just a very simple like D20, and then you add this if you need to.
Is there anything in the system you found difficult or found like you needed to have explained more than once so you'd know how it worked?
Um, I don't think so. Um, Once I actually got into it and started the building process, and then we started playing, it was very easy to kind of jump into and understand and be comfortable with.
do you feel like there's, besides the story, do you feel like there's a mechanic in the game that keeps you from enjoying the experience? Anything you would change about the Roll20 game if you could?
No, I don't think there's really anything. I really enjoy it the way that it is. I can't think of anything that would make it better or more fun.
What's your favorite mechanic in the game? Like if I had to say we're going to do a skill check for blank, which is your favorite kind of skill check that you get to use?
I think my favorite is probably Might. Um, she took the specialty in martial arts for boxing. And I don't know, I like to box in real life, and I just kind of think it's fun. And it's always my favorite check that whenever you say roll might, I always get really excited.
Oh, good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Um, so let's say that you got to have a 5-minute conversation with Jane. What is one thing you would tell them if you could?
I would tell her that hmm, you keep asking really good questions and making me think. Um,
You're welcome.
I would tell her that um, she was picked for a reason. And even if that reason is not clear to her, somebody else sees who she really is inside. I would tell her that no matter how hard things seem, your friends, your fellow Rangers, they will always have your back, and you will always be able to get through anything because you have them supporting you. And they will be able, same for them, they will be able to get through anything because you're there supporting them. So don't give up, keep fighting.
All right. Um, so in session 0, I kind of opened the episode and had everyone talk about their favorite dessert. So now we're going to go, because you've been through half of this and you've gotten to know Jane a little bit better than before, we're going to go in the opposite direction. Say you're having a dinner party and you have to plan out everything but dessert. Somebody's bringing your favorite dessert. What are the other things you need at a dinner party?
Ooh. I would say probably like a really good, um, I don't know, I'm Southern, so my first thought is fried chicken and mashed potatoes and salad. Um, so that's probably what I would end up going with is fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and salad.
All right. All right. So here's a chance to turn the table on me. Do you have any burning questions, anything you want to ask me since we started this little community of rangers in Angel Grove?
What made you want to run this game in particular? Why Power Rangers?
I'm super selfish. When I was a kid, the Power Rangers were my favorite thing. I was actually at the age that I transitioned right from TMNT, the Ninja Turtles, which were really big when I was like 6, right into the Rangers. And so for me, they represented kind of maturity, they represented community, they represented, the power to change yourself and change your community. It was very influential. I didn't actually realize for a long time how much that kind of had influenced how I saw the world. I also just thought they were really cool. I'm big into like that kind of magical girl, kaiju, common writer sort of thing. So for me, it was a lot of fun, and it was a chance to kind of set myself apart from others here and do something that was clearly a niche interest for me, and thankfully others. So
I'm glad you decided to do it. It's been a lot of fun.
yes.
Um, I guess for Zordon, what do you think of your ragtag group of Power Rangers that you've assembled? Do you think that we have what it takes to defeat Rita Repulsa?
Uh, so Zordon chose Earth to live in as a big floating head because it really did resemble Eltar. That's kind of how the story goes in the book. And it's something they don't talk about much in the series of why Zordon was Earth. It seems arbitrary in a lot of ways. It gets into this a lot in Boom Comics about choosing Earth because Earth has that intelligence, that humor, and on the days when we're our better angels, the striving to be something better. And so even though he doesn't really always get the humor for Zordon, it's definitely there's always a possibility and something that we didn't really do that if we had time for I would have done, but we didn't have time for it, was I actually did want to do a moment where the Rangers could talk about their experience in that scholarship challenge, because I felt like that was a time where competition really showed off what is commonly called kind of the shadow side of being a ranger, because there's the parts of you that are really great that have that courage and the kindness, but then there come times when there are parts of you that really want to win. And being a ranger doesn't necessarily mean you are perfect. There were things about the original five and even then later Tommy that were imperfect, and not just because they had fears they had to conquer, but because they were human. um, and so it's not a matter of if you will succeed. Zordon's not worried about that. It's more, will you be able to handle the pressure that builds up inside of you as to trying to live up to this mythic heroic image? Because you can't help when you think about the Rangers, eventually it's a mythic hero. Your level 20 top level Ranger is a legendary mythic hero that people write stories about. And so it's really Zordon is it's not about whether Zordon is going to be disappointed. It's about, can you internally handle the pressure of the Ranger being an imperfect being, and that's okay. They made Bulk a Ranger. If anybody can, if Bulk can be a Ranger, anybody can do it. Um, yeah. Okay.
What do you like about the roll 20 system? Like, what's your favorite thing about the Essence 20? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think the Essence 20, though it's not perfect, and it looks a little intimidating from the outside going in, I do think it's friendly enough that if I had 5 people that wanted to be Power Rangers in like a 2 one-shot arc, I could easily get them by the end of the first session to understand the mechanic of the game. For me, as a person whose math skills on the fly are not ideal, which is why Shadowrun is one of the hardest games for me, because keeping all of those different roles straight, unless I've done it for a week in a year. So I think for me, there's an ease of use that allows it to be more accessible in a way even something like a Powered by the Apocalypse system wasn't. Glitter Hearts was a really hard game for me because there were too many moving parts to keep track of that I just didn't know very well. And so I feel like Essence 20 is a really great accessible system for people to learn tabletop gaming, and to see that it is something that you can do tailored to your interest, and not just, you don't have to always start in a tavern. You can start in your Earnings Juice Bar. Sometimes you start there, sometimes you don't. Yeah.
I think that's all the questions I have.
That's good. And that's all the questions I have. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you would like to make sure people know about you as an actor, voice actor, I guess? Or, yeah, is there anything you'd like people to know?
I just want people to come and listen to our podcast when it's released, because it's going to be fantastic. Everybody in it is amazing. Zordon is amazing. It's a lot of fun, and I think people are really going to enjoy it.